Disclaimer before I begin the video, because I kind of messed up when I was explaining one part of how the True Patriot works. Okay, so the red amplifies the enemy's damage taken, and the blue decreases the enemy's damage dealt. So red increases the amount of damage that the enemy takes, and blue decreases the amount of damage that the enemy is actually able to do. How it works, how I'm using it. When I say how I'm using it, my strategy to using it, which also pretty much is how I play in general anyway. So how the True Patriot works is, and how everything really works, you have, in this case, green gear. So the more pieces you have to it, it ends up approaching the special talents that are unlocked when you have 4 pieces. So you can really stop at 4 pieces, but some pieces of some gear sets, the interesting things start happening when you're using, say, the backpack or the chest piece, or both. In the case of the True Patriot, you can get away without using the chest piece, but the backpack you might want to use, and I'll explain that momentarily. So how it works is, the True Patriot is, when you have 2 pieces, it increases your ammo capacity to 30%. When you have 3 pieces, it increases your magazine capacity by 30%. When you have 4 pieces, and you shoot someone, the first thing you'll get is a red. The second shot you'll get white, and the third one you'll get blue. And as it's explained in the description, every 2 seconds, enemies you shoot receive a stacking debuff of red, white, and blue. Red amplifies the enemy's damage taken by 8%. White, shooting the enemy, repairs an attacking agent's armor by 2% once every second. And then blue decreases the enemy's damage dealt by 8%. And when you have all 3, you get something called full flag. And I will be referring to it when I say I flag somebody, when they're flagged up. So that's what, just if you hear me say flagged up, or I flagged them, when I say that, that's basically saying they have all 3 debuffs active, just, for shorthand. So enemies that die while under the effect of all 3 debuffs create a 5-meter explosion, dealing damage equal to their total health and armor. The explosion damage is reduced on named enemy deaths. And the special talent that you get on the backpack is, we scroll all the way down and you go to the talents. It's called Patriotic Boost. It increases red, white, and blue debuff strength. So red, where they take 8% more damage from all sources, that's what it is. It's awesome. From all sources, they take 8% more damage. When you're using the backpack, it goes from 8% to 12%. Really nice. And the white, and that's when you get, your armor gets healed every second you're shooting. That goes from 2% to 3%. So you get a 3% armor repair when you're shooting them when they're under the white. And then blue, it goes from 8% to 12%. So that's basically, you do 12% more damage to an enemy that has blue, the blue flag, the blue color. So it's 12, 3, and 12. That's pretty cool. So in this case, the way I have it now, oh yeah, we're going to go to the chest piece, because there is a talent on the chest piece. And you use the chest piece. We're just going to scroll to the bottom. So it's called Waving the Flag. It increases the red, white, and blue rotation speed to 1.5 seconds. Where does it mention? There was something. It mentions. Oh, okay, there it is. At 4 pieces, every 2 seconds, enemies you shoot receive a stacking debuff of red, white, and blue. So this makes it from 2 seconds to 1.5 seconds. So it shaves off half a second, right? So basically, it translates into there's a great, they will reach, they'll get flagged slightly faster. And over the course of a long fight, of a sustained fight, especially if you're in a group, because the enemies will, one, be trying to kill you, but they'll also be trying to keep from dying from you. So it's going to be a sustained fight. That actually will come in handy, because basically it'll translate into, you're going to see a lot more explosions on the screen, and it doesn't matter if you're the one who kills the enemy or not. It's all good, which puts, I believe, puts the True Patriot into the type of class that would be considered a support, because the True Patriot actually is something that helps everybody. You're not just getting the benefit of this, everybody's getting the benefit. Once you flag people up, everyone is getting, the enemy is susceptible to receiving increased damage. Anyone who shoots the enemy is going to get their armor repaired, and anyone attacking that enemy is going to be doing increased damage to them. So the enemy is going to instantly be getting increased damage from all sources. It's going to be healing the team, and the teammates are going to be doing 12% more damage to that enemy that's under that debuff. It's all around awesome. There's no downside to it. There's no downside to it whatsoever. And one of the good things about it is there will be no question that you're putting in work, because you'll be spraying everybody. So no one can ever question whether or not, like, if it's like he's just sitting back doing it. It's like, nope, it'll be pretty obvious, because when you flag people up, everyone sees that. They see all the effects, all 3 debuffs, and of course they see the explosions, and you can't ignore that. Of course, the explosions do a little damage, so depending on who you kill, that explosion many times will kill another enemy, or it will stagger them, but it will make them think, guaranteed. Okay, so after having all 4 pieces of this, we have the advantage of all that the True Patriot has to offer at its base, right? So we have 2 more slots to deal with, because we have 6 slots, right? So what we have to do is think about, okay, how else could we, what could we do to help either the overall set, the team, or either our skills or our firepower? So the way I made this is a True Patriot build that's geared to also be skill damage. So in my case, I have skill damage on all of my True Patriot pieces. And normally, True Patriot's pieces, it's not common that they drop with skill damage already on them. It is not common. It's usually like armor repair, armor regeneration, something like that. But it's usually not a yellow. It's usually something blue. So something that's more of a defensive type stat. Which is fine, whatever. So, but you're never going to see it where, and of course on its core attribute, it's either going to be armor or fire. Most of the time it's armor. So as far as the core attribute goes, you can only do, at the top, it's either going to be a skill tier, it's going to be weapon damage, or it's going to be armor. So there's only 3 choices. So in my case, making this, and I had skill damage in mind, so it took me a while to collect these. I said, okay, it has to have skill damage on it so that I can turn this into a skill tier. And the more skill tiers you have, the better your skills will be at damage, health, just all around. They'll just be better. So in my case, I'm at 6 skill tiers. So I have a skill tier in here, and it has skill damage, and the mod that I have on here is skill haste. So whenever possible, I put skill haste on here. So my skills end up cooling down at around, it's around, on paper, I think it's a little, it says 14 seconds, but when you see it, it's probably more like, I think it's like 14.8 seconds or something, but it's 15 seconds. Just say 15 seconds. I think I got it down to maybe 14.7 or something like that, but it's not really that whatever. But it's fine. I can do it 15 seconds. And on the backpack, of course, we have skill damage, and we have a skill tier on here, and 12% skill haste. Everything has been optimized. On the chest piece, we have a skill tier with skill damage and skill haste, 10% skill damage and 10% skill haste. On the gloves, we have a skill tier and skill damage. Okay, so I haven't talked about the last two yet, but I'm about to. Okay, so I'm using the technician specialization that gives me a free skill tier. So that means that, remember, your skill tiers max out at 6. You have 6 slots. So the idea is you would want a skill tier in each of your slots so that you would have the maximum amount. But because of the technician specialization, they give you a free skill tier. You can actually get away with not having a skill tier in one of your slots because you actually don't need it. It's not going to really benefit you. So you could say, okay, I'll put it into either armor or weapon damage. Those are your only choices. In my case, I just said, I'll just do weapon damage, I believe. That's what I did. Because my armor right now is like the minimum amount you could have, once you get past shade level 1000. So it's 726,000. It's low. I can't take a hit. So I have to be really careful. But that's where all of my skills and experience comes in, because I know how to move around the field, and that only comes with playing a lot, because you know the maps, you know where to go, you start figuring out where to set yourself up so that you really don't take that much damage, and then of course your skills are flying around and you're shooting and you're distracting the enemy. But yeah. Okay, so moving on to the knee pads. So the bottom two, in my case, the holster and the knee pads are the two that I chose to be my wild cards. So in the case of the knee pads, what I'm using are the Fox's Prayer knee pads, and the hard-coded attribute in the Fox's Prayer knee pads is 8% damage to targets out of cover. So basically, if someone is not in cover, they're going to be taking 8% more damage on top of whatever it is you're doing. So in this case, everything gets amplified by 8%. No matter what damage I'm doing, it's going to be amplified by 8% to anybody who's out of cover. Okay, so in the case of someone who's like myself, who is a skill-based player, using actual skills, not my ability, but using skills, they want to kill me. So they are going to get out of cover and try to kill me. So most of the people that get hit are going to be out of cover. And if they're not out of cover, the drone that I'm using is going to go in and meet them so that they start becoming out of cover, because they're going to jump up. And when they get out of cover, they're going to either get zapped by me and one of my handheld weapons, or they're going to get hit by my drone, and of course, or by another teammate. So that's 8% of targets out of cover. This is the one where I chose not to have a skill tier on it because I don't need it, because I get a free one, and I put 15% weapon damage on there. That's maxed out. And while I was at it, I said, okay, let me put some skill damage on there, just so my skills will do a little bit more damage. The idea behind this is that I'll still be doing damage even if I can't fire at somebody. Because sometimes, you may not be able to fire at somebody. You may be, not necessarily because you're pinned down, you may be getting up another teammate. And while you're getting them up and not firing your gun, your skills are still doing damage. And many times, your skills would have picked up the slack when you stop firing and finish off an enemy. right? And suppose that you had flagged up all the enemies right before one of your teammates went down. You're getting them up, and your skills are still doing their job, and even their skills might be doing something. That enemy is still going to be taking all of that amplified damage. Awesome. And yeah, that's very common to see. The first attribute of the Fox's Spur knee pads, it's for a brand set called Overlord. It's a rifle damage, 10% rifle damage. I'm not using a rifle, so that doesn't really benefit me. I am using it for the 8% damage to targets out of cover. That's why I'm using it. But if you had 2 pieces, you would get 20% accuracy. And then if you had 3 pieces, you would get 10% weapon handling, which is pretty good. So there's one thing you always want to read these descriptions, because you may not be using a gear piece for one of those talents, but there might be something down the line that you could use, or maybe you just want it for the attribute. Whatever. It's more of a whatever works for you. It's not like you have to use it for that. But this is how I'm using it. In my case, I thought it would be good to have something like this. On my holster, I am using a exotic holster called the Waveform. And this is maxed out, and it comes with a skill tier, and skill damage and skill haste. You can't change these attributes. The only thing you can do is optimize them if they're not already god rolled. It looks like, from what I can see, is my skill haste was god rolled, but my skill damage was not. So I had to optimize that. Okay, so its talent, the waveform, I'll just read what it says. Graphite layers are suffused throughout the holster Kevlar weave that, when the wearer moves, creates an inductive oscillating electromagnetic field. This field allows for remote charging of electrical devices. So its talent is called alternating current. You generate a stack of 3% skill damage on one of your skills every second, capping at 10 stacks. After 10 seconds at the cap, the stacks transfer to your other skill. The process then repeats ad infinitum, which is just a nice, I guess that's probably Latin way of saying infinity. So what that translates into is your waveform at any given time, alternating between one of your skills. Hopefully they both do damage. It's one of your skills is going to be doing 30% extra damage at any given time. And in my case, I am using a assault drone, or should I say striker drone, and the assault turret. So whatever damage they do, they're going to be doing 30% extra damage at any given time. It's going to switch between back and forth. So really, it's all good. It doesn't really matter. There's no downside. It's passive. As soon as you enter combat, it turns on. You don't have to do anything. Yeah. So that it works for me. So here it is again, the little overview of what I'm using. I'm using a True Patriot with the top part, the mask, backpack, chest, and gloves are all True Patriot. And then the bottom two, definitely the left, the holster, is all about skill damage. So that's not benefiting my gunfire. But the knee pads actually benefit whether I'm firing other skills. Because you got to remember, this is 8% damage to targets out of cover. It doesn't matter how I'm attacking them. Whatever I attack them with, they're getting 8% damage on top of what I'm doing. So my skills are doing 8% additional damage to targets out of cover. My gun is doing 8% additional damage to targets out of cover. The explosion that is created after people die while under all 3 debuffs is being amplified by 8% to targets out of cover. So that's why a lot of people will use these, because these types of attributes work on everything, and they amplify your damage. So it's It's when you start hearing people say something's multiplicative or something like that. Because what it does is it takes all your damage you're doing and it says, I'm going to put 8% on top of that. How you like that? You're like, oh, I like that very well. Like, yes. That's why you can't really look at the stats and tell how much damage you're going to be doing. You actually have to play, because whatever damage it says I'm doing more than that. If you look at the actual stats, like for example, my main gun that I'm using right now is the Pestilence. Let's get into that. The Pestilence is a very nice gun. So my main gun is a Pestilence. It's god rolled. It has 15% LMG damage, 12% damage to targets out of cover. So when you think about that, you're like, what? Yes, I basically do 20% damage to targets out of cover. But, because I'm using this with the True Patriot, you have to think about everything. So this is where you really get into the RPG part of this game. This is where it's fun. This is the part where I live. This is what I like about video games of this type, because I start playing tabletop games and getting to all the stats and all that stuff. Okay, so think about this. This gun does 12% to targets out of cover. That's being amplified by those knee pads I'm using, right? 8%, so that's like 20%. But because I'm using it with the True Patriot, and when I flag them up, remember, I'm going to be doing 12% additional damage. So basically what it's going to be, I'm going to end up doing 32% damage to targets out of cover. That's how cool it is. Also, so that's just one part. Hold on, I switched. I'm gonna be doing that. Plus, if you look at my weapon damage, because again, I'm using this with True Patriot. Remember, when it says I have 15% LMG damage, that also gets upscale. You know, you have to add 12% to that. So that's going to end up being 27% LMG damage, right? If I say damage to armor, the 60%, that 6%, that's also that 8% damage to armor ends up being amplified. So when you say 6% damage to armor, you have to add on at its best, right? When I'm being amplified by the True Patriot, that ends up being what is it? Let's see. That ends up being 18%. Plus, we're gonna add the damage to targets out of cover potentially. I'm gonna end up getting 26% damage to armor. You're like, what? I'm like, yes. Okay. Now on to the actual Pestilence talents. So, Plague of the Outcasts. Hits apply a debuff dealing 100% weapon damage over 10 seconds. This stacks up to 50 times. Whenever an enemy dies with this debuff, all stacks are transferred to a nearby enemy within 25 meters. So, my base damage is 72,900. That, of course, is again, it's going to be amplified by the True Patriot. It's also going to be amplified by my knee pads, right? So basically, over 10 seconds, whatever damage I've done, 100% of that damage is going to be dealt to that enemy. So in practice, what happens is when you're firing at somebody with the Pestilence, is the effect that you see is damage over time. You know, that DOT. So it would appear when you're shooting somebody, you stop firing, they're still taking damage. It's like a bleed effect. And I've said this to some of my friends. I believe that the Pestilence is actually from the first game, but this is now a gun. I believe it's actually based on a gear set from the first division called the Predator's Mark, because it has all the attributes of that. You're just like, wait a minute. The Predator's Mark, if you shot somebody 10 times, they would start bleeding. And we had something called shrapnel, so that when you shot somebody, that bleed would spread. It would spread to people. And you could actually kill people. You could be bleeding. You'd spread it to a teammate and they could die. You might not die, or you all may die. So it would spread the bleed, and the bleed would bleed for a certain amount of ticks, and that was calculated based on your the damage you've done and your critical hit damage and the critical hit chance. It was all factored into it. So the more damage you could do, the stronger the bleed would be. And for some people, you really couldn't stop it. But it's the same way with the True Patriot. Well, then again, with the True Patriot, not the True Patriot, I meant the Pestilence. With the Pestilence, is its debuff, as they call it. It isn't classified as a status effect. They just say a debuff, but it pretty much works like it's draining. It's breaking down your health and your armor. That's what it's doing, and there's no defense against it. You basically have to kill the person who's firing at you. There's no way. But this gun interacts so well with the True Patriot, because the True Patriot is amplifying the damage that it's doing. And not only when someone dies, they transfer the stacks that you've given them, but they also explode. And so the stacks are being amplified and the explosion is being amplified. It's awesome. And again, it doesn't matter who killed them. It's going to be transferred. So you're basically constantly doing damage to people, even after you stop firing. That's what gives it really good value. My secondary weapon is the test subject. I was using the capacitor, but I've been testing out the test subject. It's a really good assault rifle as well. Its main talent is perfectly in sync. So when you hit an enemy, 20% skill damage for 5 seconds. When you use a skill, so just when you deploy a skill, it doesn't matter what it is, it could be any skill. So when you use a skill or you damage an enemy with the skill, it grants 20% weapon damage for 5 seconds. So there you go. Hitting an enemy with your weapon gives you 20% skill damage for 5 seconds. Using a skill or damaging a skill, using a skill in any way, gives you 20% weapon damage for 5 seconds. Your damage increases are doubled while both of these are done. So while both buffs are active at the same time, basically you get 40% skill damage and 40% weapon damage. Awesome. Very, 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 very awesome. It's a good thing. So you can alternate between them both. And moving on to my skills, I am using the turret. My base damage is 107,507. My health is 5,627,519. The duration is 232.2 seconds. The cooldown is 15.8 seconds. My drone, its cooldown, of course, is the same, 15.8 seconds. Its health is 2,813,760. The duration is 232 seconds. Its damage is 67,192. Let's move into our mods that we have, and then I'll go back to the turret. So on my turret, the first mod I have is health, 10% health. The second mod I have is 5% damage, and these are maxed out. So maximum 5% damage, 10% health. Unless some specializations have special mods that can be used with some of these skills, but in my case, this is as much as I can do with here in the case of the technician. And I just put more duration. That was really the only option that I have. That's the only mod that I have that can fit in here. So I just did 7.5% duration. That's maxed out as well. Moving on to the drone, I have 7.4%. Not quite maxed out. I wonder if I do not. I'm off by, 0.6. 0.6 of being perfect. Oh my God, 0.6%. Oh my God, I'm a loser. Okay, anyway, that's 7.4% duration. 5% damage, that's maxed out. And 10% health. If I could put health on all these, I would, because I wouldn't mind just having a drone that had like a crap ton of armor, health, should we say? That would be nice. It would just annoy people. Yeah, if this could have like say 5 million HP, I would love that. There are ways you can get it up higher with your gear, because some gear talents give you more skill health, so it's actually doable. But with what I'm doing, I don't want to do that, or I can't do that. Well, I guess I could, but I'm not going to. Okay, so that has 10% health. And my sidearm is just it's a 93R. Is it called a 93R or a 94R? No, 93R. It's 1100 RPM. It's whatever. I hardly ever use it, but it's a pistol, so that's pretty much. Oh, and then my here's something that's interesting. Okay, so on the technician, your signature weapon is the P017 launcher. Each rocket does 2.5 million damage, and you get 7 in your mag. The interesting thing about it is when one of those rockets hits, that counts as a True Patriot hit. So your skill, your signature skill, will actually activate the True Patriot. So after that first hit, the subsequent missiles will be doing amplified damage courtesy of the True Patriot. And you, of course, you also get the benefits of the 8% damage to targets out of cover. I do not think that the waveform factors into that, but I could be wrong. I don't think it does, but everything else does. It's awesome. That's good to know. So you don't have to light somebody up first and then fire your signature weapon. You can just fire it, and then you'll see them flag up, and they may even explode from one of those hits. It's devastating firing all those missiles at somebody. Your what do you call it? Specialization specific grenade is an EMP grenade. That's what you have for this one. Everybody gets concussion grenades. All of us get concussion grenades. These other ones where you see the icons, those are the ones that are specific to your specialization. But like I said, everyone gets a concussion grenade, and then these others are specific to your specialization. So basically, don't be afraid to throw your grenades. It's good. So hold on, let me spin my. Looks like I have one. I had a shade level. My shade level is 7,327. I've spent my time trying to learn about the game. Once you reach 1,000 SHD, I wonder if I can still do it. Hold on. Okay. So I'll just explain this really quick. So the idea of your SHD, and it really matters up to 1,000 for the most part. Although I'll explain what else you get after you reach 1,000. But the reason you want 1,000 is because you want all of these to be 50 out of 50. So the offensive is, I wonder if it explains it. Okay, weapon damage. You get what percentage is that? Okay, so you want your weapon damage. It'll be max value 10% weapon damage. So that's on top of everything you get. I think this is headshot damage. Yeah, headshot damage. 20% max headshot damage. 10% critical hit chance. in addition to what you already have. So these are little extra little perks you get. This one, critical hit damage. You get an additional 20% critical hit damage. In the utility section, so that was the offensive section. In the utility section, you get up to 10% skill damage. You get 10% skill repair, 20% skill duration, 10% skill haste. On the defensive, you get maximum value, 10% total health. You get 10% total armor, 10% explosive resistance, 10% hazard protection. On to the next part, the last part, handling. You get maximum 10% accuracy. You get 10% weapon stability, 10% reload speed. Finally, 20% ammo capacity. So this is why you actually want to reach SHD 1000. After 1000, these are maxed out, that's why mine are maxed out. So then you're like, well, what happens? Because so hey, the SHD is 7,000, whatever. What increases is your health. Your health keeps increasing. So, but as of now, the armor is what really helps you more. The health does help when you're being attacked by something like poison or even bleed, because the time that you need to try to heal yourself before the bleed effect kills you, having more health might give you the ability to use your armor kit before you die. And it's the same thing with poison. So the health can help, but as far as like just a direct attack right now, it seems that, and whether this be in the dark zone doing PvP or PvE, armor seems to be where it's at. But yeah, you want to get at least SHD 1000, but you figure you're going to be playing the game for a certain amount of time, so you'll get there eventually. So what you should do is you might as well concentrate on understanding the game, right? Because the idea, and I'm sure people would be really surprised if this happened. Okay, so my SHD is 7,000. Let's just say it's 7,000. It's higher, but it would be kind of weird with me being an SHD 7,000 if I really didn't know how to play the game. Someone most common sense, you would expect someone like that they would know how to use their gear. They probably know the maps. They'd be pretty good. They wouldn't be dying all the time. So that although in my case, yes, I do know about the game and know about the maps, blah blah blah. But there are some people who I've seen who are at my level or halfway through, maybe at 3,000, 2,000, who actually don't know how to play the game. So yeah, there are some people they got so wrapped up in trying to get as much SHD levels as they could, they weren't concentrating on being good players. And someone might say, well, it doesn't matter. I'm like, it matters when that person is on your team. When you're playing solo, it's fine. But when you're on a team, and because you're on a team, those NPCs are tailored to you because they change. Remember, the AI changes the more people that are on a team. And even when you're around people, your proximity to a teammate, that will influence how the NPCs respond to your presence. That does matter. And the people might say, well, that's why I play solo, so I don't have to be worried about these morons. I'm like, yeah, that's fine, but not everything in the game can be done solo. Most of it can, but not everything. You can't do the raid solo. At some point, you're going to have to play with other people. So you might as well learn how to play on a team and learn how the best way to use your gear on a team. It's very important, because if you don't, you could get your team killed. And if everyone is like you, then everyone's going to die. It's that's it. That's pretty much how that works. It's not like, well, maybe not. I see it all the time, all the time. So it's like one of those things where, yeah, it doesn't matter until it does. Yeah, so yeah, it does matter. So with that being said, having explained this, I think hopefully it's good. It all makes sense. Let's go on a mission, and then you can see it.
Detected.
All right, so we're just gonna do matchmaking. And I was telling my friends the other day, I was like, you know, I like playing with randos because it forces me to change up the way I play. I mean, obviously, ideally, you want to play with people who
You have received an invite to another agent's group.
you know what I mean. Like, you know how they play, they know how you play. You can concentrate on your thing and do your thing. You know, there might be some communication involved. Hopefully. Okay, so looks like this is the Pentagon.
Looks like you reached center courtyard.
I don't know what point it is.
Take out the drill.
Okay, looks like it's a full team.
Cooling system destroyed. Pump destroyed.
Looks like they already got the
Exposed.
pumps.
Drill offline.
Excellent work. Command, the drill is out of command.
I have to get off here. That helicopter's dropping down right on top of me.
All available units to intercept.
Shoot him in the back. She was already dead, or nearly dead, when by the time she reached the bottom. I switched to my secondary because I didn't want to reload. But I wanted to maintain fire. Okay. Try to get him through those spaces if I can.
An agent has disconnected.
I'm constantly retasking my my skills. Whoever I'm attacking, I'm pressing, you know, my skill buttons, and I'm having them focus fire on my whatever it is I'm firing at. That's at least how I do it. But whatever, you know, whatever works. I am looking around at my teammates. If I see somebody getting too close to a teammate, I will fire in their location. You know. We're almost through. I'm not gonna put that up. We're almost through. Okay. Yeah, this is the map where
There's an air-gapped server in the naval wing. It has a complete inventory
One
of
second.
projects and assets based at the Pentagon. We'll need that project list. If your access is blocked by the lockdown, Isaac should be able to access the system and obtain a security key.
so there's going to be a part where our skills are going to be turned off because there's going to be a skill jammers. I won't be able to use. Well, you know what? I can actually use my turret because one benefit of the technician specialization is that you're immune to disrupt. So I can actually put up my turret before the disruption starts, and it'll stay up. My drone won't be able to because it's going to get close and it's going to get disrupted. I'll show that, of course, in a few moments.
Electronic lock detected. Searching system for access codes.
I'm looking at that robot, so I know. Yeah, like he fired at me, and I knew that was going to happen. So I'm constantly looking around, saying, "Okay, let me not get hit here." Okay.
We lost contact with the atrium. Lock everything down.
Bravo 1-9er. Securing
So because
Bravo 1-6, redirect to the server cluster. We'll go.
because
1-6
once we
en
go
route
into
to
the
server
server
cluster.
room and my skills are disrupted, I'll still have the benefit of the True Patriot. So that's where like not depending on my skills is a good idea, or not depending on my on one thing is a good idea, because you don't want to be totally shut out, which can obviously happen. Hold on, sorry, I had to make a little adjustment. Yeah. We're about to enter this one room. Freebies. Think. Oh, no, we're not. No, we're not. There's more people in here. I hope there's rogues. I like rogues. I actually like rogues because they're like us. Sometimes they don't announce it. I've been noticing it. They don't announce we have rogues. In this case, I guess they are.
An agent has reconnected.
I'm just spraying the area. That's why I like using an LMG with the True Patriot, because you can quickly saturate an area. I'm going to turn off my skills. Another thing,
Copy. 1-6 in position to intercept. En route
this
to reinforce.
it might take a while to do, but when you know you're going to be out of combat, just destroy your skills so that they'll be ready to go when you need them. There's no need to have them up. Like if I had my drone up right now, it would be pointless. And what if my timing's off where it's not ready when I need it? And it's not going to be ready for this next room, because this next room we're not fighting in it. We're just picking up gear in this next room. And see, it's good to know stuff like that. You know the map. You're like, okay, I know I'm not going to be fighting in here, so I don't need to. I've seen some people come in here, they're like hiding. You're like, no, we don't fight in here. We're just picking up stuff, supplies and stuff. It's not a big deal. This should be a chest here. Yeah, it's right there. It looks apparently I have 44 of those keys, so yeah, not a problem. I think there's one more right here in this section. That is okay. We got everything, and there's something right here. And through the door, there's going to be something else right there, and then beyond that, there's another chest like around right there, and then there should be one right here, and then two chests when we get up here. And then there's going to be a special ammo crate to the left when you come out this door. See, this is the stuff I know. I know where everything is pretty much. I know there's ammo crate there. So I can put up my. I'm going to put it up right now, even though I should probably wait. But I'm going to put it up. I'm gonna get away from the edge. It's hard to see who's shooting at me when I'm that close. I'm going to turn off my turret because I want it to be at full time. I want it to be at full uptime when the skill jammers turn on. And it's almost ready in 2 more seconds. Okay, so I'm not going to put it up yet. I'm going to put it up.
Interfacing.
Not yet, not yet, not yet.
Electromagnetic
When he starts talking.
detected.
When he starts talking.
Well, if you are planning
Okay,
on using
putting it up now.
electricity to
Okay, put it up now.
boys,
So like I said, like, because I'm immune to pulses or jams, it's not going to turn. It'll turn off my.
System disrupted.
It's going to turn off my drone, but not my turret. So my turret's still firing because I put it up before the pulses started. I would have to time it so that
System.
I put it up before, like in between the pulses, but that's very hard to do.
System reactivated.
Hopefully those guys are firing across from us because I can't hit what's above us.
System restored. System curtailed. System disrupted.
I'm getting hit.
System reactivated.
Almost got it. 1 second. Okay, somebody got it. I'm gonna heal up just in case. Just in case. I don't have a good shot. Terrible shot. This guy is. Okay, got him. We're almost through. Oh, dude, right here. Put that up again. I think this is the last thing, this robot right here. Kind of hard to hit. He's on that scaffolding. Okay.
Error. Data
Right, that's it.
corrupted.
Well, that doesn't sound good. That EMP must have wrecked the servers. So much for Plan A. Plan B is to take data directly from their own systems. They have a command post on a rooftop not too far from your position. That should have the information we're looking for.
So if all of my damage was in my skills, I would have only had one thing happening, and it would have been the turret. But in this case, I was still able to not only help myself, but help the team, because everyone was doing amplified damage. I pretty much tagged everybody. That becomes, like, not a big deal after a while. Now, this one is interesting. Hopefully these guys are that aggressive. Now, you don't have to kill the drone right here. It's the second part. If you kill it early, the whole match will be over really fast. I don't feel like getting shot by a missile.
Agent down.
This part isn't a big deal.
You'll be looking for a big
As far as
compound.
you don't have to
Expect that they'll
you don't have to
swarm
shoot
all
that
over
thing. I
position
don't
once
want to
they
get hit.
realize you're hooked into their
I'm gonna
system.
wait till it goes over the building. So he's trying to. It's not worth dying right
we got
here.
hostiles approaching Station 4. God damn it.
Yeah,
Hold
saw
them
that.
off. I'll send in reinforcements.
I'm just
from
waiting
the
for him
Hummer.
to go. Okay. Okay. So the second part, if you kill the drone early on, yeah, then you just have a few ads to kill, yeah, then it's over. I probably should switch to a pulse so I can do it. You know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna switch to a sticky pulse, because I don't know if someone's gonna do it, but I'll do it. And the sticky pulse does the longest pulse out of the pulses. Oh, out of the disrupt pulses, because the enemy will remain disrupted for as long as it says it lasts. Okay, so I have to make sure I don't get hit by it. That thing wants to fire missiles, so I just have to make sure. Wait till it passes overhead. It's almost there. Hold on, I see where it is. Hopefully I don't miss. Okay, I think I got it. Yeah, I got it. Status effect almost wore up. Yeah, he's going down the building, I think. Yeah. Yeah, it he didn't like that. He didn't like that. Did not mean to do that.
Data damaged. Attempting
I'll
to
keep it
restore
up. I'll keep it
deleted
up. I'll
files.
keep it up.
Great job. I'm pulling up the recently accessed files to get a look at what they were after.
Marauder class quadcopter detected.
I don't know. Let's see where the he hasn't shown up yet. There's a guy up here. The drone hasn't shown up yet. He's hiding. It doesn't want to die. Hold on, where? Oh, okay, it's coming up. Yeah, it knows. It's avoiding our gunfire. It's gonna get some ammo real quick. This is almost over. He's halfway gone, but
Marauder class quadcopter detected.
oh no, where is it? Okay, there it is. There it is. Got him. Yeah, he's gone. But like I said, it is possible to do that. Like when it comes up the first time, it's just it kind of cheats. The disrupt doesn't last as long as it should, because I think we kind of learned that from legendary Roosevelt Island, because you can pulse the drones on that, and those last the way they should. But this one, it's like, because they know the match will be over in a second,
An
so
agent is no longer in your group.
they try their best. I can't see my results. I just looked and it was blank, so whatever. That's something that happens. So anyway, that's an example of
You have
leave current sec. That's an example of how to use it. How I use it. You get that amplified damage. You're not just depending on your skills. You're depending on the your use. Okay, so there's three things going on. You have what the pestilence is doing, which is awesome, and potentially you have what whether you're using, and I would suggest like using like either the test subject or the capacitor, because the idea is you have some other gun that's going to amplify your skill damage, while at the same time you're still able to flag people up and do some damage as well. And they're actually really good guns. But the pestilence is just fun to use. The pestilence is good for damage over time. That's what's awesome about it. It's really cool. And again, of course, when someone dies, they transfer that damage you've done to someone else. So it's pretty cool. And then, so you have the pestilence with its damage over time. You have the debuffs of the True Patriot, and then you have your skills. If your skills aren't available, you can still damage people with either with either one of these weapons, obviously, and also be doing increased damage because of the gear set. It's just all around well balanced, and it's fun to use, and yeah, you can just keep going. You're gonna have basically 100% uptime on your damage. Versus if you were just a damage dealer, they're going to want to kill you. They're going to focus firing because you're doing the most damage, and there might be times where you have to just go behind cover and you can't fire. But the idea that you could still be doing some damage, even if you're behind cover, you could still be doing some damage, that's pretty cool. So, yeah, so that's pretty much it. Hopefully this was informative, and please let me know what you liked and didn't like about this, or if you liked it all, fine. If not, let me know, because there's a lot of people that seem to want to know how to do certain things, but I'm trying to figure out the best way to show people. Do you want to see more gameplay, or do you want to be mostly talking about sort of the mindset you need to go into this? Because I can talk about in detail about how the gear works and why you do certain things a certain way. The maps, I can talk about that. I can do all that stuff because I was like, okay, I like strategy, and I like using that in strategy, like playing. I think like a chess player when I play video games, because, well, I played chess first. That's why I think like a chess. I was playing chess and checkers and pool and stuff like that before I was playing video games. So, and doing puzzles and things like that, and then and tabletop games before video games. So, and from what I've noticed, everything I was doing before applies to this anyway, and it's cool when the people that make a lot of these games pretty much grew up the same way, and you can see it, and you can see elements of it in here. So that's cool, and you can say, well, if I think a certain way, can that apply to this? And you're like, well, yeah, it can, because even chess itself is based on actual warfare. So it kind of makes sense that thinking a certain way would benefit you, like a chess player would pretty much probably benefit you in any video game. It's not just a tactical looter shooter, cover-based looter shooter like this game. This could actually help in anything. Anyway, that's it. I'm Poison Cheeto. Matane.